Deleted Session, October 10, 1979. Now, good evening. This will be a fairly brief session, but we will begin with your dream about your parents. In a dream, they both stood for completely different attitudes of your own, and here you see them objectified in your separate parents, for you do indeed identify those different tendencies with your parents to a strong extent. You have, in the dream's meaning, your father who wants to be left alone, who likes to walk in solitude, and who is quite uncomfortable with the expression of emotion. You have, in the dream's meaning, your mother given to explosive bursts of emotional expression, who it seems makes emotional demands. In the dream's meaning, she chased after him, and in that context you felt one portion of yourself making demands upon another portion that resented the emotional involvement, the emotional outburst that portion naturally expressed. As yourself, you were the observer of the conflict which took place and his conversations with Tan over the telephone. Obviously, you want to walk in peace. You resent the intrusion of having to take the time to express anger or disappointment. The dream, of course, involved your conflicts over Seth speaks in the Dutch edition, and your feeling on the one hand that you must speak out to Prentice, while at the same time resenting the loss of your peace of mind. My own position cannot be as immediate as your own. I respect your emotional reactions, whatever they are, and your right to them. Says, it seems speaks a bit more briefly in Dutch than he does in English, but the material is there, and if the Dutch have cut it, or your notes, it is, in the most basic of terms, now their laws. Agreements of a legal order should, however, always be honored, and each society has been built upon that precept. So you have, of course, every right to state your objections, but more to take precautions so that the same kind of situation cannot reoccur. I do not want to upset you, but if the Dutch may cut a bit here and there, you might find that any French or Spanish translation might add a flourish here or there. Whenever a book is translated, it is almost impossible, of course, to say the same thing in the same way. Such a book will always be expressed through those invisible national characteristics that are so intimately involved with language. And obviously, were that not so, no book could be understood by someone of a foreign language. They are bound to be distortions, but the distortions themselves are meaningful. You have again a definite right to state your objections, and the market, which in the long run could be quite detrimental, and in the main, they have left you alone. There are some reincarnational connections involving Tan, but the overall important point is that in its way, Prentice has attempted to maintain the book's integrity and not made any effort to distort the message, to sensationalize it, as for example, the Benton covers, or to personally exploit Ruber, yourself, or the situation. They have not forced interviews upon you, and many houses certainly would try it. They have even at times kept the books in print that were selling poorly for a period, though this did not obviously apply to Seven. When either of you say that your purposes and Prentice's merge, or your attitudes merge, you have a tendency to mean that this merging is somehow detrimental, that if you expected more, Prentice would do more. advertise or whatever, and that is not the case. You could stand some more advertising, but high-fired promotional jobs are something else entirely, and would not suit your best interest. Of course, probabilities always operate, and I am speaking now of the situation as it stands. Prentice has also given Ruber some considerable freedom, with the exception of Amara, to write a variety of different kinds of books, something that some larger corporations might well indeed not do. If you tread in framework 2, events will naturally lead to their best fulfillment in publishing. As in anything else, that faith in framework 2 can indeed work wonders. If you could understand that faith would be sufficient. The wrinkles in your relationship with Prentice would drop away, or that relationship would naturally and smoothly change into another, if that was the best solution. A note: Ruber has felt oddly, since his body has been creatively changing, both the head and eye areas, neck and knees. The knees are beginning to work more properly, and slowly beginning to mimic and adopt a more natural walking posture. The steps he has taken without putting his full weight on the table, for example, are highly important. He should look for that impulse each time he walks with the table. He will shortly find that some days he can walk fairly easily, perhaps 10 steps in that manner, or maybe even twice in one day, while for a few days in between he is not in good enough balance. I would suggest walking 3 times a day now, as he has been doing, but one more time. The entire body is really being worked upon, with resulting looseness of tensions that become more apparent at certain points. Both of you try to disconnect your creative work from the practical considerations of contracts, and have Ruber play with his own book. He will find the results of such play excellent. There is an abundance of energy available this evening for several reasons, and I will help Ruber's body utilize much of it. Ruber mentioned your dream contest. Start it up again. While we are working on our new book, you may find yourselves involved with some new types of dreams. As for our books, I can only tell you that everything is working for your favor, and regardless of any seeming conflicts. You might try taking that for granted. Do you have any questions? Ralph said, "No, I guess not." They said, "I bid you a fond good evening, and everything is working in your favor." Ralph said, "Okay." They said, "A fond good evening." Ralph said, "Thank you, Seth."